Welcome everyone to the We Win podcast, powered by Accelerator Africa in partnership with the Human Pattern Institute. You are all so welcome today. I am your host, Lalita Ejiofor. There are women who enter a room and command it because excellence has a presence. Today's guest has been walking in that presence for nearly 3 decades. Meet Lara Kayode, lawyer, founder, mediator, global authority, and one of the most formidable women in intellectual property law on the African continent and beyond. In 1996, Lara made a decision that will shape the landscape of IP law in Nigeria forever. She founded O. Kayode & Co., a top-tier intellectual property law firm that has since become a name synonymous with precision, protection, and power. The world has taken notice. Lara is globally recognized as one of the leading trademark practitioners, named among the top 250 women in IP by Managing IP and crowned Practitioner of the Year 2023. But what moves me about Lara is this. With all those titles, all those global recognitions, she still turns around and speaks to entrepreneurs about why their ideas are worth protecting. Because she knows that IP is not just a legal matter. It's a wealth matter. It's a legacy matter. Every one of you listening today is about to learn something that will change the trajectory of your business forever. Let's dive in. Hello, Lara. Welcome to the We Win podcast. Such a pleasure to have you here. How are you?
Thank you. I'm very well, Lolita. It's lovely to be here. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Okay. Lara, you founded O. Kayode & Co. in 1996. That means you have been running your own top-tier law firm for nearly 3 decades. I want to take you back to that beginning. What was the specific catalyst or frustration that made you leave the firm you worked for and build your own table, rather than waiting for a seat at someone else's? And looking back, was there a definitive moment where it became clear the existing institution wasn't going to make room for what you were bringing?
30 years. Thank you. It seems like yesterday.
Wow.
I know. Doesn't feel like it's 30 years already. But I think it was not so much a case of what wasn't working. But I'd been to law school. I'd gone and specialized in intellectual property. And at that time, I think there were maybe 4 or 5 firms that actually practiced IP. I had worked in one of them. I had served as a copper. Really started out there. And when it was time to work, it didn't seem like there was space for me. And the reason sounded very reasonable. Ultimately, it was, well, look, you're a woman, you're going to get married. And when you get married, you will have to move. You'll have to go.
Wow.
So we know you want to work, you're very enthusiastic, but bottom line, continue and all that. But I knew that, okay, so there's no space. There's not going to be space here. And, we look back now and we think, oh, how could they? But it was a norm. I mean, this was an all-male firm. Everybody was male. The receptionist, the secretary.
Right.
So looking back now, it was a good thing. And so, well, look, I started to interview and I would go to firms and I'd ask, okay, so how large is your IP portfolio? And they'd say, oh no, we don't have an IP portfolio. We're starting with you. You're starting us out. I'm like, okay. And so I went back to my mentor, who is my tutor, who was my tutor. I said to him, look, I have this challenge. I want to do well. I want to work. I want to do this IP thing. He goes, just set up your practice. I'm like, what? How am I going to do that? He goes, hello, are you joking? Go ahead, just do it. I go, where am I going to get the work from? Because the work will come. Just do it. And so I started. And it wasn't easy peasy. I was young. I think I had the advantage of youth. I had no responsibilities. I wasn't paying bills. I was still living at home. So really, what did I have to lose?
Exactly.
So it was like an adventure. Let's try this thing out. But I had support from home. I had support from my family. My parents paid my first rent, my office. I saved up some money that I thought was a lot of money. But by the time I bought my books, and there were secondhand books, by the way, because that's all I could afford. I was very fortunate that I went into this secondhand bookstore in Chancery Lane. Wilder and Sons, yes. And I said, look, I'm starting up an IP practice in Nigeria and I need to buy books. And he goes, well, you need these books. And he told me what books I needed. And I said, oh, gosh, I can't afford to buy all of those. He goes, look, a barrister has just passed on, an IP barrister in Australia, and it's possible that we may be able to get his books from his estate.
Wow.
So, how much do you have? I told him how much I had, which I thought was a lot of money. He goes, probably be able to get you 3 or 4 titles. I said, that's the start. I had nothing. And that was it. I paid, and they shipped my books, my second-hand set of books, which I still have, from Australia to Lagos. And that's how I started. I had, in addition to that, I like to talk about it. I had a computer and a LaserJet 5L printer. That was like top
LaserJet,
yes,
not dot print.
No. It had to be LaserJet. And I had an email address.
Ooh, AOL.
CompuServe.com. 101635 at CompuServe.com.
That's going way back.
And that's it. That's how, literally started from my bedroom. And literally I would wake up in the morning, get dressed, from my bed to my table. I think my parents just felt sorry for me. Like, you know what, this girl, let's get you an office. And my cousin had an office at the time. These are stories that we really need to tell. My cousin had an office on the 7th floor in Great Nigeria House. And he said, oh, I think there's space on the 9th floor. A little space, come and start there. And that's how I started. And the rest of the story, as I say, is history.
So how long was all this, from the beginning, from you talking to your mentor to the point of getting into that office?
So I was in England after my master's. I stayed on for a bit, trying to find a job. And all the jobs I got, I just knew that after all this, I suffered in law school. Law school was hard. Yeah. I had a place in England, to be fair, to do my solicitor's finals. I had a place at Chester that I had deferred. That, look, let me go to law school and just come right back and settle back into life in the UK. So I'd say it was probably about 9 months. Yes. From when I decided, okay, I'm going back to Lagos, to March 16. It was a Saturday that we opened up that office, said a little prayer with, I remember who was there like yesterday, my father's very good friend of blessed memory, Dr. Roger, who's a judge. He was there, my parents, my father's first client, a Lebanese gentleman who said to my father, wow, Kayode, you started your office from the back of your car.
Wow. Look
at us. And literally it was, awesome. I think to the day, maybe 25 years since my father had started practicing. Yes. So
that is such an extraordinary but inspiring story. And again, even back then, you had the just do it push to just do it, just start your own thing. And you managed to do that. And then you got help to get your books. And not just any books. Your inaugural books were from an IP
practice.
Oh, it's brilliant. It was meant to be.
It's a God factor.
It was. It certainly was. Beautiful story. Thanks for sharing. Surviving as a business in Nigeria for 30 years is an extreme sport. Surviving as a female-led practice is even harder. What is the single most important survival mechanism you had to develop to navigate the early days of building your firm's reputation in a heavily male-dominated corporate environment?
Thank you for that question. I think if you'd asked me this when I started out, I thought it was toughness. But looking back now, it wasn't toughness. It was just stamina. It was emotional stamina. You can be tough, and then you get to work. And in those days, we depended heavily on NITEL. So I had to have, what people don't understand when I talk to my team. No, they don't. IDD, International Direct Dialing, you paid for that separately.
Right.
And so sometimes, and we had a fax machine. And so the highlight of my day was literally opening up my office and checking to see if any faxes had come in, any documents had come in by fax. Yes. So it meant, yay, there's work. So it was emotional.
Well, that was tech-driven that time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, before me, they had relied on telex.
Yes.
And cable, telegrams.
Yes.
So the highlight was really walking in and seeing that system, working. So I think it was emotional stamina. And then you had to keep showing up. Competence eventually will silence your doubt. Because there's no way that you wake up and you don't think, are you sure? Especially at that time, my classmates from law school, it was the time of the banks. The new generation banks were setting up, and a lot of people went into banking, and you got a car. I mean, the Daewoo Racer was like the highlight. I mean, so my mates had cars. I had friends who said to me, wow, you're very brave. And my real friends, my probably said, Omo, you're stupid. Are you sure this is what you want to be doing? So, you need stamina. I think it was stamina. It's a marathon. It was a marathon. A lot of hurdles. So maybe like a steeplechase.
Yeah. But how did you feel about it being a male-dominated space? Was there any, apart from stamina, there must have been grit within you to just continue?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I had a lot of... I'd go to conferences, and my seniors, because they were my seniors, I mean, they'd been in the business for a long time, would be there. And they'd say to me, oh, you are alone. If you eat alone, you die alone. Or, those funny comments. And, it's one of those things that you think, can I do this? Are you sure you can do this? I mean, you go into a conference, you don't know anybody. You go into meetings, you're not sure. You're marketing. You're there to sell yourself, but you really don't have a lot of experience, so to say, to back up your story. But all you have really is yourself. And so whether you are male or female, and my mother, God bless her soul, used to say to me, in your exams, do you have separate classes for boys? Separate classes for girls? So boys do different exams? I said, no, Mama, they don't. So whether you're a girl or you're a boy, you have a brain. You want to do this, just go for it. So I'd be in meetings, in committee meetings, I'd be the only female. But I'm not there because I am a girl. I'm there because I am a lawyer. Yes. And I have the exact same qualifications to be there. So I don't think it's ever been, for me, maybe I had a point to prove.
Yeah.
Maybe I had a point to prove. You are going to get married, and then you are going to... the example I was given was, what if your husband's going to Tokyo? Then you're going to follow him to Tokyo. And I said, but I've never been to Tokyo. But eventually, last year I went to Tokyo. And so when I arrived at the Tokyo, I said, Tokyo, I came home.
But
and I came
terms.
alone. It was one of those things.
Yes,
so I've never gone into a room and thought that it's because I'm a girl, or, it's never bothered me.
That's good.
I go in and do my stuff. I'm a lawyer.
Yes.
Your
role is not gender specific.
It's not gender specific. It's not.
You regularly speak to entrepreneurs about the value of IP. In a market where the daily hustle is so immediate and tangible, what is the hardest mindset shift you have had to make them see regarding the difference between running an activity and actually owning an asset?
Even yesterday, I still had this conversation. You know how we call it hustle? I hate that word so much. It's not a hustle. Yes, you're busy, you're working. And there's a slogan that I found, and if I'm going to adopt it, it says, your hustle feeds you today. but your IP feeds you for life.
That's a good one.
So if you look at it as hand to mouth, and in Nigeria we have MSMEs, mostly MSMEs.
Okay.
So you find that it's micro, but that micro is massive. The turnover is unbelievable. If only we would collate and keep track of what we're doing.
Yeah.
We confuse activity with ownership. So because I'm doing this thing means I own it. It's like saying because I live in my landlord's house, I own it.
Yeah.
Do you really? Your landlord owns your house. You pay rent to live there, but it's not yours. If you don't protect what you are doing, your design, your formula, your content, you're just building on sand. You're just doing.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm partial to women entrepreneurs. I say to them, if you can't sell it, you can't license it, you can't pass it on, it's not an asset. It's just effort. You're just working and earning money and spending the money. An example I like to give is property.
Yeah.
2 days ago, I was sitting with 2 ladies in trade. So they're trade specialists. And we're talking about how do we explain IP to the average Joe on the street. And I said, okay, the name itself should be self-explanatory, but let me break it down. So intellectual property, as opposed to real property. Intellectual property is intangible. It's a property of your mind. Your real property is your house. We're in this house. So when you buy a plot of land, the first thing you do, you check from whoever you're buying from that they have a right to sell. And where do you do that? You go to the land registry. You don't take their word for it, especially in Lagos. So you ensure that they have title. And it's that title that gives them the right to assign to you, to rent to you, to sell to you, or to lease to you for a period of time. It could even be land. Developer says to you, look, I'll take it off you, or leases your land, decides to build, and says, you know what, I'm going to build 10 flats here. I'll give you 2. You can make with it what you want, but at the end of 25 years, I'm handing it over back to you. In that 25 years, he knows he's going to make his money and all of that. So with intellectual property, it's property of your mind. So it's your idea. Say, it's my idea, it's my idea. Yeah, it's your idea. But what are you doing with your idea? So if you buy a plot of land I always use Banana Island, but here there are more lucrative parts of Lagos these days. But let's say Banana. It doesn't matter who your neighbor is. The first thing you do is you fence it. After you are sure that, you have your right, you've paid, you have your receipt. So you fence it up, you protect it. Because even if you don't, your posh neighbor will slowly carve out a little part to be their garden. Maybe add it to their swimming pool or to their gym because you've left it. It's open. So you protect it. Same with our ideas. The law doesn't protect your ideas. It's the expression of your idea that the law protects. That's why there are many ideas, because what intellectual property does is really give you a monopoly. It gives you a right. If you protect it, maintain it, you can have it forever. Depend on the rights that you have. So copyright, for instance, for certain works is life plus 70 after you have passed. Which is why you hear some musicians, their children benefit from their work, even though they have passed on. If they don't protect it, there's nothing to benefit from. You know how some people will say to their parents, where were you when your mates were? So, so that's what IP is. It's expression of that, your fantastic idea, your hobby. This is your effort. Think about it as, especially women. Women, we're so protective of what we have done. Oh, it's mine. I started it. I don't want... excuse me, if L'Oreal is asking to partner with you, your beauty brand and they're paying you $100,000, for example, it's because they know they can make $1 million. If somebody is partnering with you to do a collaboration for a sports brand, for instance, it's because they know that they're going to make money off you.
Yeah.
You'll make money. So why are you hugging that which you can benefit from? So I think it's opening up your mind to see the potential. And that's my job. Apart from saying to you, oh, let me register your trademark. Let me register your copyright. Let me protect your industrial design. Or let me help you ensure that your patent is protected. It's helping you see the business side of this, your expression. Always build as if you're going to sell. I know culturally it's not what we do. We want to hold on to it, but selling it doesn't mean you let go of it.
Yeah.
There's a lady that we are going to be interviewing next week, and a part of her business, she said, she started her business when she was 19, and she said at one point she sold a bit of it, but she bought it back when she realized that my brand, the way they're doing this, my brand is not following with what, my ideals and my culture, and so she bought it back. And so we need to just open up our minds, I think. As an SME, yes, of course, you have the right to own your thing. You want to say, yes, I'm the one. Even for me, I've had many opportunities and many options and invitations to partner. But I look at the culture. I have a particular set of clients who work with me because of the way I work. Am I going to be able to continue that? So is it a case of, I want to be bigger at the expense of losing out on my culture? No. So you look at it, you have to wait. But as an SME, I would say to you, do your homework and start like you are already whoever it is your model is. So if you're a beauty brand and your model is whoever, begin to see what it is that you need to do. Don't wait until you start before you have your HR. Have an organogram. I say to the woman selling chin chin, have an organogram. How do you want your business to look like in 10 years, in 5 years? And you're wondering, I can't afford to have an HR personnel. Yeah, but do you have a book? Do you have an SOP? Do you have something for your business that is already existing? When I started, I was the secretary, I was the receptionist, I was the post girl. I wasn't the driver because at least, thankful to my parents, they paid for me to have a driver. His salary at that time, if I say it now, it was 4K. And 4K was a lot of money.
4K was a lot.
Yeah, because I think it was 32 naira to fill my tank. Yeah, so I'm showing my age now. Oh gosh. So, but if you don't protect your brand, your design, your formula, you're just building on sand. And I say, look at it like I'm going to be able to sell it.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you hear, Facebook bought one small business. They have structure. Yeah. No one's going to buy something that is just floating.
Yes.
No one's going to invest in that either. Yeah.
So the bottom line is that structure. It needs to be seen as something. But I love the masterclass on what an IP is, because some of us have been hearing the word, and it's nice the way you broke it down for us to understand it's our idea that's sellable, that can be used to build and passed on to the next generation. Because there are a lot of people building, we don't know what we're building and where it's going to go. And
correct.
Awesome. So without naming names, can you share a story of an entrepreneur or creator who came to you after it was too late? Someone who lost their brand, their product, name, or their invention because they didn't protect it early enough. When you look at those heartbreaking situations honestly, is the root cause usually arrogance, ignorance, or simply a lack of resources?
I think it's a mixture of both. I think ignorance mixed with optimism. So when we say things like, nobody can use my name, nobody can take mine, it's mine. I'm the builder of it. Hello. It's an idea. You've expressed it, but you haven't protected it. And you've put it online. and somebody has seen that, I was thinking about that. Okay, let me just do it the way they've done it with a twist. But you haven't protected it. I think it's that belief, really, that nobody will steal my idea. But really, unprotected ideas or unprotected expression of ideas, they don't get stolen. They get claimed.
Yep.
Somebody will just passing by, oh, that looks nice. I'll use that next time. But when they use it, if you're protected, then you're able to say, hang on, you can't do that without my permission. And what is that permission? I can give you a license I'm not saying I can do everything, but I've protected it.
Yeah.
So I can give you a license to use it. I can give you permission for a period of time. We can collaborate, but you can't just take it. Now, the law is versatile. But, I always say we have common law, of course. We have statutory law and we have common law. Of course, through common law, it's through fairness, equity, but it's going to be a roundabout way for us to get there, as opposed to having a registration to say, look, hang on, I was first to get here. I was first to file. Yeah. I'm the owner. This is my certificate, or this is proof that I'm the first person here. So sorry, you can't do that. And if you want to do it, let's have a conversation.
Yeah.
I think that's it. I mean, we have a case right now where we're trying to navigate how we're going to go around it, because we had the initial conversation, I think, late last year. And we don't push. Because we don't want it. We're not ambulance chasers. The first thing they teach you in law school is you don't chase after your client. Yes. You give a client the information. If they want it, they'll come. If they don't come back, they could have gone somewhere else, and you have to respect that. And so when you come back later and say, I should have done it, shoulda, woulda, coulda, yes, I know, but what we're going to do now? Yeah. So now, unfortunately, it means that it's going to cost you more money. It's more time. We're not going to have to be looking for a way to, repair what we didn't really need to. It would have been a straight case of, let's do this, get it over and done with. I have protection, and, carry on. Yeah.
You mentioned in your first response with regards to your story, how you started, you said there were just 4 of these IP firms at the time. Is it still niche today? Do we have more of these firms that are, especially in Nigeria, because I'm actually thinking about the availability of this knowledge where people understand that they need to protect their IP?
So it's better than it was. At least now IP is being taught at universities. Most universities have IP clubs, intellectual property clubs, yes. So when I did IP, I remember at law school, we had like 1-page commercial law, and they just briefly mentioned it. So it wasn't a subject, it wasn't taught, but now it's taught at universities. So there's a lot more, of course. I mean, there are a lot more firms. Is it still niche? I think so. Are there firms who only do IP? Very few. A lot of people have an IP department. Most firms will probably have an IP department. IP and technology law will now go hand in hand. So the knowledge is there. I mean, and the younger people, I think, are a lot more curious than we are. And so there's a lot of information. But I think awareness still needs to be created. It needs to be more, we need to be more intentional. We have an association. There's a law association, IP Lawyers Association. But it's taught in universities, and yes, there are a lot more firms that do it.
That's good to know. Okay. You have a growing enforcement department that successfully handles counterfeiting cases, defending world-famous brands. Enforcing IP in the African market is notoriously complex and sometimes dangerous. What is the reality of hunting down counterfeiters? Is it just a matter of filing legal paperwork, or does it require a completely different, grittier kind of street-level strategy? And who in that chain is usually the hardest to move?
Okay, I think counterfeiting is dangerous business globally.
It must be.
It's not everywhere. Just enough, it's everywhere. And counterfeiting, you think you're not doing any harm, or I'm not harming anybody, it's just a dodgy bag, or those shoes. I'm not hurting anyone, but a lot of the money that is behind counterfeiting is from dangerous and illicit
Gangs,
and gangs and all of that. So people think enforcement is just about filing IP work, filing paperwork. It's not. In Africa, no. Anywhere in the world, it's intelligence work, it's field work, it's navigating markets. Now, we don't really have formal markets. Now we have malls and, it's better, but really, predominantly our markets are informal. So it's not a case of, I'm going to shop, you say it's shop A, line 2, something this in a particular market. So when my international client says, it's this market in this part of town, and I say, on Google Maps, we found that. I'm like, okay, so on your Google Maps, this is what it's shown you, but this is the reality. So it's navigating markets where counterfeiters are organized. It's an organized trade, an organized business. They're well-funded, so they have resources, and sometimes they're protected.
It's crazy because if the market wasn't there for counterfeiting goods, they'd probably just all go away. But people are buying and patronizing and giving them more money to be more resourceful in what they do.
And it's a global phenomenon.
Yes, it is.
So you said the hardest people to move are not the counterfeiters. They know what they're doing. They have a strategy. It's what they do. I think the real challenge for me would be in the middle layer. So distributors, market associations, transporters. Because the goods move from A to B somehow. And the distributors are aware. They know when the numbers are going down. They order original products. The market is moving, but their products are not moving. But the product is popular in the market. So clearly, that information is there.
Right.
The market associations, this information is there. They know. They know who's selling what. So to enforce properly, you need strategy. You need diplomacy. You can't go in gongs ho. Okay, Karal, we're here to do this. No, it's not going to happen. And you need courage.
To call it out even.
You need courage. And you definitely need a level of grit. Law school doesn't prepare you for enforcement work. Law school doesn't prepare you for going into the market. Doesn't prepare you for raids. So it's hands-on. It's very hands-on. But it's exciting. I love it. I love doing it.
How many of these raids do we have in Nigeria? I don't really hear of raids. It's only the customs guys that stop. I don't know. Do we have proper enforcement that make an impact enough to get these goods and just burn them, destroy them, without them infiltrating back into the market?
Yeah, so we have a lot of regulatory bodies who work on this type of enforcements. So depending on the product, so for food and drugs and beverages, because beverages are consumables, it will be NAFDAC. So you find that you collaborate a lot with regulatory bodies to get these things off the street. The Standard Organization of Nigeria, NAFDAC, customs, even the police in some instances would be the right regulatory body. And yes, but if you heard about it all the time, then it's part of the, but work gets done.
So they're being sleuthed.
You have to.
Okay.
So that you don't have our strategy. Trust me, you get it done.
Awesome. Because of that enforcement work, you operate across courts, regulators, customs officials, and law enforcement, all on the same case. What does it feel like when a case that should have been won starts to fall apart? Not because the law wasn't on your side, but because the institutional system simply wouldn't hold together.
When a file goes missing, a file goes missing, that's it.
Uh-oh.
So if a file goes missing, official file goes missing, then we have to start collating documents, and it happens. Regulator may be unavailable, and not because they don't want to be, but because of the system. Maybe logistically, they haven't been able to get out of their base to wherever the case is being heard, or a process stalls, and these things happen. You show up in court, and unfortunately, the judge has to go for official business, and there's nothing we can do. It's as your court pleases. So, the Nigeria IP ecosystem struggles because of these things.
Yeah.
So a file could go missing, and you were shocked when I said that.
Yes.
So a trademark file, thankfully we're slowly getting back online. But if it's missing,
that is so hard.
There's nothing we can do, except if we now begin to trace, hopefully. So we keep backups of everything. But, so our institutions, unfortunately, sometimes, in some cases, still work in silos.
Yeah.
We have a national IP policy. Thank God for that. It's a strong one. But a policy is only as effective as the collaboration behind it.
Right.
So the policy will involve a lot of organizations, regulatory bodies, departments, ministries to work together in cohesion. So we have regulators, we have customs, law enforcement, courts. If we have everyone working as one system, then enforcement will always work.
Yeah.
But if they're working in silos, then it's like pushing that car up a hill.
Absolutely.
So it's but every failure reminds us we don't give up. We keep pushing for reform. So until we try it, we don't know where it doesn't work. So once we get to a bottleneck, we look for solution. So you have to be solution oriented.
Yeah.
I think to work in this space.
Yeah. You have to be very determined and driven also.
Absolutely.
Because imagine if a file goes missing. Many people will be like, I'm not doing this. I'm done.
You will do it. You'll have to do it. Our global colleagues don't understand it. So what do you mean?
The file's gone missing. How did it go missing?
Why is it taking so long for? But it's one of the things I always say to my global colleagues and my international global North colleagues, shall I say, that look, if you had to work in the environment that I work in, I'm not sure that you do. You walk into your office, everything works. Yes. You don't worry about. Literally. We were at a meeting the other day, and they were talking about how SMEs, and I count myself as an SME. Really, I run a business. We run two businesses. You have, I call it your own local government authority, your power, your own administrative system, and then you have to work with whatever the government provides or whatever is available, on that side. So it's
tough. It's the context in which you're operating doesn't help, but you're in the right place.
It's Nigeria context, and we make it work. Somehow.
We do. Yeah, it's great. So this is a fascinating contrast in your profile. You are a fierce IP lawyer fighting counterfeiters, but you are also a CEDR-accredited mediator. Litigation is often about warfare and winning at all costs. Mediation is about finding the middle ground. How do you mentally switch between those two very different psychological modes when dealing with a high-stakes business dispute?
Okay, thank you. That's such a good. When I saw that, I just smiled. So for me, both roles are forms of advocacy. The head of my litigation department is a tiny, tiny lady, but she's so fierce.
Small and mighty.
Absolutely. And I say when we're litigating, when we're enforcing, you're equivalent of a sword. When you're mediating, you're a bridge. So, it's time we wield the sword of enforcement. We're going to get you to the, and the switch happens when I look at my client, I look at their business, I look at the outcome. So what outcome protects my client's long-term interest? It's impossible for me to sit with a counterfeiter and mediate. However, A huge distributor who is unaware that the products he's selling are counterfeits, I can sit with and educate and say to him, see, these products you're selling, you have gotten them from wherever it is you got them from, but they're not from source. So you are clearly a good conduit to do business. You're not aware that this is not the proper product. Let's sit down and see how we can get you into the proper channel, of doing business. If war is going to destroy value, then we shift into mediator mode. So if you're a huge distributor and you're just not aware, you're a supermarket, for instance, and they just dump the products in and you do good business. It doesn't make sense. I go in there, I close you down, I shut you down. You can't do business, but you're not aware that. You now say to me, madam, they just brought this product. It's not my product. So it's okay. So you're a good place for my client to sell. You're not aware. So let's talk about it. As opposed to shutting you down and, shooting myself in the foot and my clients in the foot. If peace will reward bad behavior, then we go into enforcement and litigator. So if I'm going to, I don't want trouble, but then you're going to carry on doing what you're doing. No. Then we go into, enforcement. So I think it's really not about ego. It's really strategy. That's why I say, look, you have to look at the business holistically. You have to look at your client holistically. You have to see what it is. So, they're selling your product. There's clearly a market for your product in this store. So how are we going to ensure that the right product gets into the place? So we may start off with enforcement and then we get to conversation, and also sometimes, on domain names and, and all of that, you're not aware. I just thought it was a name. No, it's not just a name, So let's sit down. You can't do this. You get a tap on the wrist. But if you continue, then we're going to go somewhere, somewhere else.
And you mentioned strategy, but there's also discernment, knowing when to apply each.
Yes. I think that's where wisdom comes into place.
Yes.
I mean, and that's where, rather, like I said, it's not about ego. Say, I'm going to get you. No. Let's sit down. Let's evaluate what it is. Exactly. I mean, by the time a client is asking me for documents, say, okay, look, you filed this for us. Immediately I know, okay, there's some enforcement issues somewhere. And, you educate your team and say, look, is there a document? They don't have to come to you to do it. But clearly ensure that you keep your records. The client has a right to their information. And we're there to assist them.
So here's a question I don't think you get asked enough. After 30 years of watching the entire intellectual property architecture work and fail, so by this, I mean the system designed to make what someone creates legally real and protected. Where does it most consistently let down the people it was built for? Is this a structural flaw we have to live with, or is it something that can actually be fixed?
I don't think it's a structural flaw. I think, if we look at it, the protection of IP didn't start with modernization. There's something that's very, close to my heart, and it's an aspect of IP, and it's geographical indications. So geographical indication is something that identifies a product with a particular region.
Right.
And they get protection because that product comes from that region and that region alone. And the case in point, it will be champagne.
Right.
Champagne is champagne. If it doesn't come from that region in France, it can't be called champagne. Same with Bordeaux. So it comes from a particular grape, and that's in a region, and so it's identified with that region, and so the protection is accorded to that.
Understood.
So, let's bring it closer to home. Unsuka pepper. You can't
come from Lagos.
Unsuka pepper comes from Unsuka, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. You can't find it anywhere else. So why isn't it protected? Why can't that region benefit from protecting, and somebody else wants to use it? Why will I grow pepper in Lagos? Say it's like Unsuka pepper. It's not. Okay, let's go a bit closer. adire. What is adire? We say tie and dye. In the language, it means we tie it and we soak it. Adi, are. So we tie it, we soak it in the indigo or in the dye. There's a particular way and manner in which we do that is unique to that region, that part of the country. Why can't they benefit from that? Okay, wool mark. If I see the picture of a yarn on a label, I know it's wool. It means it can't be acrylic, it's not polyester. So that's a mark that protects a particular group of people. So we keep thinking, oh, IP until I register it. There are common law rights that you get from using over the years, using your... So there's no reason why the people of Abeokuta cannot have some sort of protection, geographical indication. And so if you call it adire, is it really adire? So Prosecco is from Italy. It's fizzy alcohol. Cava is fizzy from Spain. Sherry is from Spain. It's from a particular part of Spain. If it's not from there, you can't call it that. Why? The reason is because it's protected. So when you say, has it failed? I'm not sure that it's failed. I think awareness and accessibility is, for me, something that we need to reinforce. So there's no reason why. And in Kano, there's something we call Kano tie and dye.
So they call it that.
Yes,
they don't
it's from
call
Kano.
Adire.
No, it's from Kano. So as soon as you see it, you identify. It's from Kano. So it's tied to that region. And so, but then we now find that there are certain parts of the world where we go and they say it's from this part of the world. But it shouldn't be, because it doesn't originate from that part of the world. So geographical indications, the laws exist. We have laws. Protections exist. The average Nigerian may not be able to afford them, may not be aware of them, may not be able to navigate them, and I may not be able to enforce them. Doesn't know that they have that right. If regulators work in silos, then it becomes a fortress. And if it's a fortress, what do you see when you see a fortress? You see a huge wall. And there's a castle behind it. But you can't access that castle, even if it has all the best food in the world, because there's no access through the fortress. So is it fixable? Yes. But I think it's only through collaboration. Digitization, cost reduction, and public awareness. I think IP protection should not be a luxury. It should be a right. It's there. And it should be accessible. And I think the policy makes it easier. We have the creatives covered. Everyone's in the policy. Everyone's covered in the policy. My prayer really is implementation should now, begin in earnest. And then we can really benefit from all that we have, all the potential that's there. I mean, if our population, the last statistic I heard was 60% is under 14. 60% of 230 million people. Can you imagine the potential, the innovation, the creativity, the opportunity? I think that's really where
there's
we need to
a lot of potential here.
Yes.
But I think what we seriously lack is that cohesiveness, that working together to achieve it. There's always something out of line, and you need all the factors to work together, not just awareness without cost, especially the cost. Because when you mentioned Adire, I was like, wow, that should be an IP in itself, because everyone calls anything Adire. But to know that it's has a geographical origin and that name is tied to that geography, it should be protected. You shouldn't call Gari Ijebu if it's not from Ijebu. Gari comes from everywhere, we know. But there is Gari Ijebu, and there's a peculiarity to Gari Ijebu. There's a peculiarity to Gari Ijebu that makes you go out. Because really what a IP is, what trademark, for instance, is indication of source.
So if I see Gary J, if I expect it to taste in a particular
Exactly.
way, it doesn't mean that there's no Gary anywhere else. But the way the soil is, maybe that's what it is. We don't know what it is, but yes. So why are we calling Gary from somewhere else? Benue yam is Benue yam. The yams from Benue apparently there's something to it, to the soil that makes the yam taste the way it does. So it should not be called anything else. And they should have protection.
Yeah. So the protection, let's say for Adire, would it cover them internationally? Because you gave the examples of champagne, Prosecco, Cava. Do we have people abroad producing similar materials and calling it African print Adire?
Yes.
We do.
Yes.
And so if there was a law,
there is a law, there's a bill,
So
there's
what?
there's a geographical indication bill
Wow.
that needs to be passed.
But it's not enforced.
No. We have a lot of bills, we have a lot of laws, we have our policy. It's not for want of, it's not that we don't know what to do. We just need champions.
Yes.
I think we really just need champions to drive, to just push us to the finish line.
I just saw a cape appear at the back of your clothes, a cape. So I think
Superwoman.
that you should champion this thing.
Super girl.
Okay, so we've talked about IP for physical products. And looking at, this day and age, I was thinking about more digital products. So let's say music, for instance. Back in the day, copyright enforcement would have been on CDs.
In fact, now it's MP4. We don't do CDs anymore.
Oh, MP4, yes.
So we when we register copyright now, we don't. It used to be that we'll get your CD. The Copyright Commission doesn't do CD anymore. We would take your MP3 or MP4.
So what I wanted to ask is, what is the main difference in the way enforcement is being done now for those seeking intellectual property protection in the digital space?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we had a domain name case where literally, so there's nothing really, there's no product. It's the name. And it was being copied, and we enforced it. We did mediation. It was through mediation. We sat down and, going back and forth, and ultimately it was mediation. And through mediation, we were able to sort it out. You didn't have a right to it. I didn't know. Okay, ignorance is not an excuse. And so we did all of that. Now with fashion, for instance, you find that it's quicker to enforce now. It's easier to find. I don't need to go into row 1, shop B in one far state to find you. You're leaving a digital footprint.
Yes.
So it's easy for me to find you when you're copying. It's easier than I had to go and find you in your studio and all of that. So with, obviously, AI, we can't go away without speaking about AI. Now, everything is done like that.
I've just heard something, about this singer, Shake It Off, what's her name? Swift. She's gone to copyright her voice because there's a lot of AI out there. So it was just to make sure, and her looks, her image as well. Yeah. Yes, because of AI. Yeah. So that's going to be the new age type of...
Absolutely, it's digitization.
Yeah.
Remember, it's when I talked about getting access to, it's digitization. The same way we're using the digital market to promote, it also means that the counterfeiter, the infringer, is also using digital. So why will I enforce a right that is being infringed digitally in real life? It makes no sense. So we're going to have to, so it means that I have to keep learning.
Yes.
So my 1993 master's is
obsolete.
Obsolete. It's just there. It's good for paper, but I have to be up to date.
Yes.
You come into my office and I asked you, so how comfortable are you with AI? I had a member of my team was saying, this AI. I said, let me tell you, my friend, if you know what's good for you, he goes, but copyright issues. Yes, we know. The copyright issues. I mean, there are things that lawyers can do now whereby literally I can run my practice from my room. I don't need to have a full team.
Yes.
I can get everything I want online. But it also means that it's for good. It's also, the other way. So you have to be savvy. We are having to use traditional IP rights to enforce non-traditional ways of expressing those rights. So the law has to catch up very quickly, which is why when we talk about laws being passed, it used to be that, oh, a literary work that's in a book. Not anymore. I mean, I can write a book. I can sit down. Have you seen how quick we're all writing books now? Do you think we're all writing those books? Of course we're using technology, but I always say, look, rather than go in there and say, write a book for me on, please get your idea. For you to get your copyright, at least to get some writing, at least develop something.
Yes.
Have something original.
That is yours.
And then you can now improve, on it, as opposed to just copy, paste, especially students. I know there are things we used to trace. I mean, I had interns who I said, that letter was quick. I said, you know how I know your letter is AI? Firstly, this is not the language of our firm. So this is not how we write here. So go and pick up a file, go and read how we write, then write a letter, and then let's discuss it.
Yeah. Okay, your final question.
Yes.
You were named Practitioner of the Year in 2023 by Managing IP, and you are globally recognized as one of the top 250 women in IP. You have built and protected brands for 3 decades. When the next generation of IP practitioners in Africa look back at this era, the era you helped shape, what do you want them to say was different because you were here? Not just about the firm, but about what became possible for African creators and entrepreneurs in terms of their relationship with what they build.
Wow, thank you. I think I want the next generation to say this era, because I don't think how we say it's a golden era. I think really it's a platinum era, if there's even something better than that. Yeah. I think they should say, look, this was the era when African creators stopped being consumers of other people's ideas and started owning their own. So we copy so well. But when you copy, you create something and then you put that brand on it because you don't feel you're not confident enough to put your name on it. For them to begin to own those ideas, I think that for me, I want them to say, we built a culture. I want them to say, we, us, our generation, built a culture where protecting your work was normal, as opposed to being the exception, and not optional. I want them to be able to say that African brands became global, not by accident, but by strategy. That we shifted from imitation to innovation. Yes. I think for me, if somebody in 10 years' time, 20 can look back and say, you know what, this woman's work helped open that door, even a teeny weeny bit, then, the 30 years have been worth it.
Awesome.
I think that's it for me. Yeah.
And that will surely pass.
Amen.
Lara, it's been such a pleasure. It's been a masterclass. So we should pay for this. Thank you so much for joining us today on the podcast. I hope you had fun. And we hope that we will continue these conversations. They're very essential.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. This was awesome.
Guys, I hope you found that very insightful. I certainly did. There are many of us who think that IPs do not relate to us. They don't relate to what we're building. They only relate to large organizations and corporates who are selling very big products. But they relate to your idea that is expressed. Once your idea is out there, it can be copied. So we need to be in a space where our ideas can be protected. And that is what intellectual property protection does. When you know the value of your idea is protected, you can collaborate freely. So this goes out to all of you building out there, whether it's physical or digital. Take it seriously. Listen to what Lara has said. She's been doing it for over 30 years. It's been a pleasure as always, and thank you so much for listening in. Goodbye.